how to deal with nonstop parties, Christmas and New Year celebrations. And of course, we're right in the middle of Christmas, which, as we know, started Monday after Thanksgiving. I hope people were able to use some of what we learned last time to manage Thanksgiving in such a way that you didn't actually gain 4 pounds by Monday morning, that you kept Thanksgiving to Thursday, one plate, one time, maybe one other plate, one other time, but no pumpkin pies for breakfast. It's not a vegetable only. Okay, so all joking aside, most people gain the most weight in the year from the day before Thanksgiving through the day after New Year's. So if you don't gain 4 or 5 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year, you don't have to waste the month of January dealing with that excess weight or dealing with low energy before you start the year in a positive way, okay? So I'm going to talk today, rather than bring in 20 foods and show you what's good and bad, and you'll have that information, but you know, in a party, in a cocktail party, in an office party, Christmas, it's not even Christmas, it's all the parties around Christmas, that information really goes out the window unless you have the mental, attitudinal piece in your brain whereby you're saying, I know the tsunami of too many calories will come to me 30 times between Thanksgiving Day and New Year's Day, and I'm going to build a wall. So even if it comes over that wall a little bit, or even if it comes over that wall a lot, I can bring it back. I don't have to go down that slide or that snowball to the avalanche, okay? So one thing I think is really important is the concept of eating food that's tasty. Last time I know I made baked apples, and today I have done a vanilla chocolate pudding. And I'll tell you, it took probably 10 minutes because I made more than one serving. But essentially what I did, has everyone tried it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here's one thing you definitely can have seconds. So what I did is I took 1 Jell-O packet of no sugar vanilla Jell-O pudding. I put it in a bowl. You add 2 cups of milk. I use 2% milk so that it has a little body. Remember, people don't gain weight eating or drinking 2% milk. As culturally, we've gone to skim milk. What do you think has happened? Have people gotten thinner or heavier?
Heavier.
Heavier, because when you pull the fat too low, what do you compensate with?
More fat.
No, more carbs. If you pull the fat too low and you do everything skim milk, no fat, no fat, no fat, no fat, is there any taste? No. And there's not only no taste, but there's no feeling of fullness or satisfaction. So then you say, all right, where's the pasta? Where's the pretzels? Where's the popcorn? And you have one little single serving? Absolutely not. So I use, per the recipe, 2 cups of 2% milk for 1 packet of the no sugar vanilla Jell-O pudding. I used 4 packets. I used 8 glasses of milk. And this is considered, because a serving of this is considered is considered 4 ounces. So there are 4 servings in each one of the packets. So there's 16 servings in all of that. What I usually do when I'm home is I put them in individual ramekins, because it's always better to have foods in what I call a boundary than a non-boundary, because you know, I'm moving to the side, then everyone can see it. And we have lots left over because everyone felt I better not take too much because we don't know how much we have, but we have 16 full. So for those who are outside the office, when you have a bowl like this sitting in your refrigerator and it's just you and 1 to 3 other people, you're not going to take a little delicate thing like I saw everyone do here. The bigger it is, the more you eat. whether it's something healthy, whether it's something low calorie, whether it's something high calorie. What I generally do when I make this is I'll put it in individual ramekins, so I'll have 4 servings. Okay, so that was step 1. I took the Jell-O pudding powder, the milk, and I just whisked it with the spoon, with a fork and a whisker for 5 minutes. Then what I did is I took unsweetened cocoa powder and I put it in a cup. I put 1 Splenda in. Some people use stevia. I mixed it with hot water because unsweetened cocoa powder needs heat to melt. And then I took my fork and I folded it into the pudding and I put a couple of dollops on top. How does it taste?
It's very good.
It's good. So you could put this at a party with cheesecake. Another recipe, which I didn't do because last time I did the baked apples, if you want to make this as a pumpkin mousse, you do this, you do the vanilla, and then you add a half a cup of pureed pumpkin, which you can buy in a can, with cinnamon and nutmeg. So it's very, very flexible. You can use this as a base for a lot of things. I hope everyone sees it. I hope we get a lot of, yes, this does taste good. And then we can go from there. So having things that are taste or tasty gets you out of feeling deprived. And to manage the month of December, it's not that I have to say, oh, this is a better food than that. Yeah, there are ways I can say this no sugar pudding is better than cheesecake, but you're not going to be at most places where they're going to serve this. You can do it at home. So let's look. This month is all about not nutrition. This nutrition is part of it. This month is what behavioral strategies, what strategies are you going to use as the tsunami of food, and it's mainly sweets. So someone, I'm not going to mention who, names unknown, brought me one of these. Now, one of these isn't too bad, but most people probably would have a box of more than one. And that becomes the problem because you know the old saying, I can't have one. So let's look at what strategies, what actual strategies do I need to employ whereby I can get through the month of December. Staying fit means more than running around the mall, although people don't really run around the mall anymore. We order everything online, so we don't even have the advantage of running around the mall. And 2, no weight gain. So come January, when the whole cultural perspective changes, everyone wants to, you know, they're going to be January 1st, they're going to be every other radio, TV, internet show article will be how to lose weight this year. Mm-hmm. And there'll be some new, like maybe if you eat 1 taffy a day after dinner, that'll cut your cravings forever. Or they'll have, you know, gobi berries are the super antioxidant food, and you eat this and it'll burn body fat because it did somewhere in Peru. So we know these things are all ridiculous because they're not based on facts. They're based on advertising. Okay, but let's look at what strategies can I have? Be active. Now that doesn't, I don't mean by that simply go to the gym. I mean do things. Don't let the tsunami of what you have to do keep you inside doing nothing. Smart snacking. What do I mean by smart snacking? If you're snacking at home, buy individual bags, buy 100-calorie packages, because human beings like to finish things. If it's a big bowl, you want to finish that. If it's a small bowl, you want to finish that. So you create, as we've discussed before, you create your kitchen and your environment so that you're not always in the supersized universe. Manage portion sizes. How many people have tried actually using smaller plates, smaller bowls?
Yeah.
And what do you notice with it? Are you more hungry?
No.
No, because it's all about tricking the brain. You get a smaller portion at a restaurant or at someone's house. There's a minute where you think, oh gosh, this is a little tiny. What am I going to do? Maybe I'm going to be hungry. But in reality, you're not. So you want to keep working on managing portion sizes. Now, here's where the portion sizes get tricky in December. It's one thing if you sit down, you have a smaller, I'm going to do a little show and tell here, a smaller plate. So we know this is not the kind of plate anyone has at home because this is only 8 inches. Plates are 11 to 15. So I would call this a small plate. But you're now at a cocktail party or heavy hors d'oeuvres, as they say. Heavy hors d'oeuvres is dinner. You know, if you have a lamb chop, you've had dinner. And either it's someone's passing it around if you're at a formal event, or it's sitting around. And the thing about small items, if this were big, let's say this candy were 2 of these, right? You would have 1 because you'd say, God, I had a big candy. But when it's only 1 little one, how many of these can you have?
12.
12, okay, too many. So if you go and you have hors d'oeuvres, count them. You know, people don't count them. You have a little of this, you have a little of that, 4 or 5. That's it.
For the whole plate?
For the whole hors d'oeuvres, 4 or 5.
For the whole evening.
Oh, mercy.
Are you really going to starve?
No.
I think so.
I doubt it.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole evening. We're not talking about just an hour. We're talking about 2, 3 hours.
Well, it depends on the hors d'oeuvre too.
Well,
Right. That's
you know,
true, too.
if your friends make low-fat dip with a little spice and
That's
some
not
raw vegetables, you can have as much as you want. But most of my friends don't do that.
True.
So I'm thinking of hors d'oeuvres before dinner right now. We'll talk.
No, that's true.
Oh.
And
Okay.
they always have
Okay.
the vegetable trays. I mean, so there's
Yeah,
going
but
to be
the
some
vegetable
options.
trays with the
The
high-fat
That's
dressing,
right, the ranch. and all
with the
that.
fat in the dressing.
Agreed. One quick thing on the taffy, and I've told most people here, and if you haven't heard, now you've heard it. If you come to my office, there's a box on the table, just like what she said. But if I share it, I have less, and everybody has a little, so that's another way you
Absolutely.
can do it. So small portion too. Anyway, enough said.
Okay, so manage the portion size. So there's your appetizer, then you have dinner. Because you go to a party and you have appetizers and dinner, how many dinners have you had? 2. Right? Now, let's do another scenario. Let's say it's simply, quote, heavy hors d'oeuvres, which means dinner without a seat. Let's say you have 6 hors d'oeuvres. Here's the thing: never go to a cocktail party or a 5 to 7 party hungry,
Yeah, that's true.
because they're always going to serve food that's yummier. What makes food yummier? Fat, sugar, salt, flavorings, mainly fat and sugar. So they're not going to have a lean chicken skewer with nothing on it. They're going to have a chicken skewer with barbecue sauce on it, or blue cheese on it, or something else of that nature. So if you have a snack, because people tend to have their blood sugar drop the most, and most people are most hungry sort of from 3 to 6. You know, your blood sugar's dropped, especially if you haven't had enough protein at lunchtime. It's a hungry time of the day. So it's a hungry time of the day, and it's free, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like you have to pay for it. You know, you had to pay $4 for each of the hors d'oeuvres. You probably would put a limit on it, but it's there, and everybody else is eating. It's not like everyone else is having 2. So the other hard part about this kind of challenge is that when other people eat, you want to eat. Even if you're full, you could have a full dinner and someone says, oh, come on over, I'll serve some coffee. and they have a full thing of dessert, and you know you're full when you left the house, you want it. Because we're meant to eat more, because we used to mainly starve. But now we don't, and therefore we're in big trouble.
Or you smell it.
You smell it, you smell it, and think of how many things that don't smell. Pretzels don't smell. You know, box things don't smell that much, but you see it and it captures your brain. Remember, this is in December. It's not a starving problem. It's a thinking problem. Okay? So now, what do I mean by smart snacking? Let's say someone has something homemade, like a little homemade quiche or something that's really fabulous. That's when you have it. You only snack, or you try to only snack on things that are really tasty and worth it, unusual. You know, potato chips, you're not going to remember if you had potato chips tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It's irrelevant. Okay? So smart snacking, and of course managing the portions. Another one, which also sounds kind of silly, but it isn't, is get enough sleep. You know, Washington, working, commuting, stress, managing your house, your bills, your kids, etc., parents, whatever. Who needs to sleep? Let's just keep going. But the problem, of course, is that when you're tired and it's 4 o'clock the next day and you still have 5 things to do in the office, a commute home, cooking, kids, work, bills, the garden, the snow removal, whatever that chore is, what are you going to do? Are you going to have a little cup of tea and say, not today, I'm not going to have that cookie? Or are you going to say, I can't make it, I'm exhausted, and are you going to grab a carrot and an extra slice of turkey? Anyone who does will get the reward of a taffy. So getting enough sleep also cleans out your brain. There are more studies showing sleep cleans out toxins in your brain, which you need to keep your brain healthy. Just as an aside, brain health, 3 things: no sweets, exercise, brain health, no sleep, get enough sleep, exercise, and don't eat sweets. Balance meals with protein. How many people are now focusing more, particularly in the midday? So it doesn't help if you have all that protein at 8 o'clock at night. Because at 8 o'clock at night, you're probably not in the highest energy point of your day, certainly not during the weekdays. You need that higher protein at lunch, and maybe a little protein boost at 3, 4, 5 until you get home and actually have dinner. How many people have become more conscious or put more effort into actually having more protein at lunch as an antidote or as a factor to prevent falling into the starches, falling into the sweets later in the day?
Yes, definitely.
Has it worked?
Yes.
Okay, so what about it? Has anyone, we'll start in the back. What have you noticed about how it works or doesn't work? More even. You don't get that. You know, I always, ups and down. I always describe when people say I'm really hungry in the afternoon or I've got to go to the vending machine. And it's not that they're hungry and like, oh my God, my stomach is killing me, I'm hungry. It's their blood sugar is dropping, because hunger only affects this. God, my stomach, I don't feel good, my stomach hurts. Your blood sugar dropping, it's like, I'm crashing in the elevator. I can't think, I'm cranky, I'm irritable. I just don't feel good. And then all you want is something fast. Then you don't want this no sugar pudding. You want the real thing, because the real thing is going to raise you up higher for the first hour, drop it again, convert the calories to fat, all the negative cycle. And I hope if everyone has come away with, meaning not just learned intellectually, is that sugar basically is a poison. Now, if we had it the way we had it 100 years ago, Christmas, Thanksgiving, your birthday, no big problem. But if we have 150 pounds a year, every day, day after day, 46 grams of sugar in orange juice, ketchup, tomato sauce, ice cream, bread. It won't last forever before one has a big problem. Balancing meals with protein. Now, some people feel they need protein in the morning. Some people feel I'm fine with cereal. That's up to how your own body is. But if you find that energy drop, you do a little protein snack, cottage cheese, yogurt, low-fat cheese, 100-calorie package of almonds, as opposed to 1,000-calorie cup of almonds. Again, you'd be shocked how many people day in, day out I see who have gained weight and they have almonds and cashews, and I say, why do you eat this? They say, oh, it's good for me. I say, great, it's good for you. And how much do you have? I don't know, maybe I'm going to take yours as a show and tell. Maybe about half this cup. Well, half this cup is probably 55 grams of fat, over 600 calories. But they say, we never know who this they is. They say it's good for me. Like, was there a big note in the sky? Almonds are good for you. So it's not, thank you. It's not just, are they good for you? What is actually in it? That's the whole thing I want people to learn. What is this? Is it the protein? Is it a fat? Is it a carbohydrate? And how much of each of these are? So lettuce is a carbohydrate. And potatoes are a carbohydrate. People don't think of lettuce as a carbohydrate, but a cup of lettuce has 6 grams of carbohydrates, and a cup of potatoes have 40. Okay? So I want you to have the skills and the tools to move forward in your lives in a fact-based way with what food is, and then B, a behavioral way in how do I manage the life of too much food all the time. That's the deal, too much food all the time. And you know, I've been blessed. I've traveled a lot in lots of places. And what I've noticed, sadly, is the hardest place to manage food is right here at home, because no other culture serves enormous portions as we do. You know, nowhere in the world will you get a cup of coffee like that. Coffee is this big. Pasta is this big. Noodles are this big. Rice is this big. And things don't have 10 fats. So when we say this is fusion food, you know what fusion food is? You take all the fat, sugar, and salt from culture A, you take all the fat, sugar, and salt from culture B, and you add them together, and now you're fused. Okay? There's nothing one can do about that in the big picture. But in the small picture, taking care of yourself, there's a lot you can do. And this month, between now and when I see everyone, the middle of January, the goal should be, I am not going to gain weight. It's not the time where you're going to say, you know, unless you're like going to no parties and deciding to lead a Spartan life, this isn't the time people are going to lose weight. But by not gaining 5 pounds, you're losing weight. You've already lost those pounds January 1st. Okay, does that give you a context which to hold this?
Yes.
Okay, avoid feasting when cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making spaghetti for Christmas. I'm making salmon, but I'm munching on my son's macaroni and cheese. Okay, if you're a person that knows you really can't cook without eating, then you plan it. You take a plate, a small plate, an appetizer plate, and you put something on it. You could put an apple and sliced low-fat cheese. How many people have ever tried something? I should bring that in next time. PB2. Does anyone know what PB2 is? Okay, describe PB2.
Peanut butter powder. That you
A peanut butter powder. It sounds horrible, but it works with 75% less fat. Okay, and you take it and you put a little water in it, and it's a peanut butter. If you don't have a peanut allergy, it's a peanut butter taste without the added fat. Because peanut butter, another quote, all kids get peanut butter unless they're allergic to it. And people think of it as a protein, but it has 18 grams of fat and only 7 grams of proteins. Okay? So you put something on your plate. You could have an appetizer salad. You could have grapefruit. You could have a little bit of low-fat mozzarella cheese and tomatoes. You could have some olives. You could have some shrimp and cocktail sauce. Lower the sugar in the cocktail sauce by mixing in some horseradish. Now, I think it's best to try to cook without eating, but some people say, I just can't do it. I've got to have something in my hands. And that's a good way to do it, okay? So avoid feasting, especially when you're cooking higher calorie foods. Now, if you're baking Christmas cookies, Christmas cakes in a way are easier because you can't eat a cake when you cook it. You can eat the batter, but you can't eat the cake. I always suggest that you bake in the morning right after breakfast, because most of the time after breakfast your body doesn't say, I got to have sweets. If you bake at 4 o'clock, if you bake at 6 o'clock, your hand's going to be, quote, in the cookie bowl. Avoid sweetened drinks. And I'm talking about the alcoholic drinks. If you want alcohol, the worst thing in the alcohol, what have we discussed, is the mixer, the tonic, the margaritas, the cosmopolitans. So avoid the sweetened drinks. The smaller plates have to do with the portion sizes. Lower the calorie in recipes. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Lower the calories in the recipes. So except for baking. Now, I'm not a baker, so I haven't tried substituting applesauce for sugar, so I can't speak on that. But in terms, if you look at most recipes, if you cut the fat by 30 or 40%, it really doesn't matter. And you certainly can take out, if they say use 3 tablespoons of sugar with orange juice and you want an orange chicken, you can take that out, use a little fresh squeezed orange. So there are always ways that you can adapt it, A, cutting down the fat, and B, lowering the sugar content. This is a challenging one. Weigh yourself regularly. I say one should weigh oneself 1 to 2 times a week and write it down. Now, why do I say write it down? When you write it down, it's real. Just the way I have these diet diaries I give people, why do people not want to fill it out? They say it's hard. Now, is it really hard to write down 4 lines what you ate today? No, it's not hard. It's you don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do it. That's what's hard about it. Because when you do it, you actually, for yourself, not for me or whoever you share it with, for yourself, you have to confront, did I work today in the arena of nutrition and health on my own behalf? Did I do what's best for myself, or did I go with what's easy, what's there, what everyone else is having? And that's what's hard about it. And that's why people don't want to do it. But another easy thing to do is write down what you weigh. It becomes real. And then you also begin to see the pattern. And most people have the same pattern, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. People are more likely to have weight loss days than weight gain days, because you get up, you have breakfast, you have lunch, you go to work, you come home. Who has time to eat that much or think about it that much? Then it becomes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then you do have time. And the holidays is more time. If stress alone caused weight gain, people would gain weight while they worked, right? And lose weight on the weekends. But the reality is it's the opposite. When you weigh yourself regularly, and if you do this something like 4 to 6 weeks, you begin to see the pattern. You begin to see, what are my easy days? Because I think in order to get results, it's not just important to look at what did I do wrong or what didn't work. It's equally as important to look at what did I do right? what worked so I can take those days and recreate them. Avoid processed junk foods, potato chips, caramel popcorn, all the things that make no difference at all, except what? They're there. They call my brain. They have no boundaries. I have to have them. Plan ahead. Planning ahead is critical. Whether you're planning ahead what you're going to have on the holiday days, how you're going to deal with actually traveling, plane, train, bus, car. Because essentially, you can't guarantee where you go will have the right food. More often than not, it'll be the higher calorie, the higher sugar, the double starch. And plan ahead so you never go to a dinner party, to a holiday party when you're hungry. Because when you're hungry and you sit down to dinner, what are you going to eat? The bread or the chips or whatever. Or instead of sticking with your plan, the waiter says, oh, we have this fabulous pasta bolognese or pad thai or whatever. And you say, oh, I'm going to give myself a treat tonight. Skip seconds. If you're at home, I still recommend try to plate your food. Don't leave it sitting in the center. Put it on the side, because what's on the side, you then have a defined portion. The longer you sit, the more you eat. Especially the longer you sit looking at it. It's there. It's there. I have it. Okay? So how do you see doing one or two of these reality-based changes? What can anyone feel like? Okay, I can do this.
I can plan ahead because a lot of times I'm on the run and I'll pick up anything through a drive-through and eat. And it's always French fries and something.
Okay. So how would you plan your day to not do that?
I have my snacks with me.
Okay.
And a salad or something.
Okay. So meaning organize it at home before you get there?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, so you have this list. Everyone has it? It's over there and it's all going to be posted or has been posted. Okay. So we did Thanksgiving. I didn't do everything. Now we're going to do Christmas. Eggnog. The only good thing we can say about eggnog, it's really only for 3 days. But it is 370 calories, 40 grams of sugar. Fruit cake, I didn't get the sugar count. And rum cake, 500 calories, 54 grams of sugar. A teaspoon of sugar, only 4 grams. So you see 54. You've got quite a bit there, okay? 14 teaspoons. Okay, is everyone clear on some of the behavioral choices? That creating the right behavior allows you to make smarter choices. So, the next piece is how to actually pull down the calories in any given meal. You want, with one plate, to fill it up 40% with the protein, another 40% with the vegetables, and the last, if you're having starch, this is at a party or at a holiday, the last 20% the starch. That doesn't mean you can't have rice, potato, pasta, quinoa, beans, lentils, couscous, but you're going to keep it to 1 serving. Don't add extra fat. If you have bread, do you have to have butter with it? Or olive oil? Olive oil is still a high-fat food, even if it's, quote, healthier. Healthier foods can be weight gain as well as unhealthy foods. Okay, that's the new misunderstanding a lot of people have. And with fat, the ones people use are nuts, nut butters, avocado, guacamole, hummus. People think of those, they're free, they're healthy. They said so. So I'm not saying don't have it. I'm saying if you look, a serving is considered 2 tablespoons, or a serving of avocado is a quarter. And avocado is not a, I've had lots of people say to me, oh, avocado is a protein. I don't know where that came in, but it's totally false. Okay? So better alternatives. Then the question is, what do you do if you actually have had a bad day? Let's say you went to someone's house and you had 20 hors d'oeuvres and dinner. What do you do? And dessert. And it wasn't even Christmas. It was like this weekend, right? Because we know there are 30 days of Christmas or 40 days of Christmas, depending when it starts. Therefore, it becomes important to be able to shift gears, not to be on the I am perfect gear, or alternatively, I'm bad. What difference does it make? I'll start again when? Monday. But what's the Monday of December?
Every day.
No. What's the Monday now? If you were going to start a diet now and you were out of control, when would you do it?
New Year.
January 2nd. So there are no Mondays in December, right? On a regular week, I ate too much Saturday night at my friend's house. Monday morning, I start. Whether you start or not is another question, but you say that to yourself. Now there are no Mondays. Monday is the 2nd of January, which this year is Tuesday. So no Mondays this month, right? So therefore, you can't use that strategy because it's not going to work. People who bracket, which means I had too many calories from this high calorie meal plus dessert, I put a bracket around it, and the next day I go right back on my program. I don't starve. I don't say, I'm not going to eat any carbohydrates for 4 days because I had too much on Saturday. Because you know what happens? After 1 or 2 days, what do? You dive into the extra because your body can't do no carbs at all. And remember, even lettuce has a carb. So it becomes important to bracket and to say what actually allows statistically, what information do we have that lets people lose weight successfully? Is it that they are perfect? The people who are able to successfully lose weight perfectly follow their program, and the people who fail to lose weight go off their program. That's what you would think. I lost weight successfully. I stayed on my program every day. No errors, no exceptions, no mistakes, and person B made some exceptions. You might think that's how it works, but in reality, it doesn't work that way. People who successfully lose weight actually do go off their program from time to time. So you need to know that that's part of the drill. You're going to have bad days. Every day isn't going to be perfect. But what I have found that is actually important is recovery. That's what allows people to lose weight. Being able to recover quickly. You know, my husband's a big sports fan. He's always watching this, that, and the other. And I marvel how these guys can really make a mistake in front of 100 million people. At least if you make a mistake at home, it's not on the news, on the internet, discussed in the newspaper, and they make a mistake and they screw up and they lose an inning or a quarter or whatever, and they get up 30 seconds later and they play because they have some ability to shift mentally their gear. Like, wow, it doesn't even faze them. They don't say, oh God, what's wrong with me? I failed, I'm going home, which I would probably do. So within yourself, you have to say, key to success is the ability to shift gears, is the ability to recover, because I guarantee you, you're not going to have a perfect meal every meal between now and January 2nd. And if you think you're going to do that, you're being unrealistic. So bracketing, recovery is crucial any time of year, but particularly in the holiday season. Another piece in the whole puzzle of this behaviorally is creating positive strategies. Not just people say, oh, I don't want to, I feel bad because I can't wear those pants, that outfit, or my doctor says my cholesterol is high, I've got to lower it. And that's really helpful in the beginning, because you say, okay, I have this negative stimulus. Doctor says my cholesterol is too high. Doctor says my glucose is too high. My clothes don't fit me. I want to walk away from that negative stimulus, right? And so that often gets people started on eating healthier. But do you think that carries them through the finish line? What do people guess? Yes or no?
Mm-mm.
Probably not, because they get tired of it.
Okay, that's one answer. Tired of it. What else?
They complete it and then they're like, okay, I'm done. I'm good to go.
Completed, then okay, I'm done. So I think it's a good answers, because I think it's a combination of both. If saying I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to lower my cholesterol, is all going away from something that's you don't like. It becomes important, I find, to go towards something you do want. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be lean, and my body is going to work well. Because my experience has shown that if you're only going away from something, let's do something simple. I want to lose 20 pounds. When you lose 20 pounds, you don't have any stimulus, because the stimulus was only negative. If the stimulus is, I want to be strong and healthy and active, when you lose 20 pounds, you still have actions to take that keep you going. So I think it's important to, especially over this month of December, to have the picture of where you want to go, of what you want to do, of what you're going to do better or differently or take up. Maybe you're going to take up playing tennis. Maybe you're going to do more hiking. Maybe you're going to go kayaking. Maybe you're going to ski. Something you're going to actually do that gives you the ongoing motivation to continue and to go towards something, not just away from something. The final piece is others. Your mother-in-law, your father, your cousin, your friend. I made that cheesecake because it's always been your favorite, right? Or we always have lasagna at Christmas. You're not eating it this year? Or gosh, did you really like it? You took such a small portion. Was it okay?
Have some more.
Have some more, right? So how do people find they deal with that kind of, it's not that kind of diet saboteur.
You gotta have willpower.
And you have to stand firm. I mean, you have to politely and say, look, I know you think it's love, but you're poisoning me, so I'm not having it. That's not going to lead to happy families. You need to say, I loved it. It was great. I love your lasagna. I'm just really full.
Take some home. for later.
Take some home
There
and
you go.
give it to the neighbor or throw it out.
But you got to leave that impression there. So you're right.
You don't
It's a give
want,
and take.
you don't want to aggravate other people.
Right.
You want to keep it smooth and easy. And people do cook as a way of sharing their feeling of love for others. Even if it's not helpful for their health.
One thing that I've seen is a lot of us go to buffets, and from my past job of being a food service officer, they tell us pretty much how to construct a buffet. And it gets back to the planning ahead. If you already know all those breads are first, and then the salads, then the beans and that type of vegetables, and then the heavier ones like the potatoes, and eventually you get to the protein. You're talking about that small plate. You really have to plan ahead, or you're gonna be done come the beans filling up the plate. So
Okay.
some of that is just something in your head. We're all gonna see a lot of buffets, so I think that thought is right, that the plan ahead, knowing the meat's down there and you really
Because
want
the
that.
meat's more expensive.
That's right.
So if you
They
put
save money, sure.
if you put more beans, rice, pasta,
Right.
etc., you're going to have less room for the
Cheap up front.
steak.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, it's just a small point, but that's something that every one of us are going to see. It's another way to think about how we're going to approach that buffet and hit it.
Right. And in terms of buffets at the holiday, home holiday events, a person who would normally make sort of plain mashed potatoes is going to make it more complex. Someone said to me yesterday, oh, I now remember, he was at a holiday party and they had 7 cheese macaroni. I don't exactly know what that is, but there were 7 different kinds of cheeses in the macaroni at lunch yesterday in a business. Someone brought it in because it must have been his or her specialty. So yes, if you do the protein and the vegetables, another thing you can do, let's say it's your own buffet and everyone is bringing something, bring something you can eat. And don't just bring us, people say, oh, I'm going to bring a salad. A salad doesn't work in the winter the same way it works in the summer. You're not going to eat salads morning, noon, and night because it's cold and it's not appealing and the lettuce doesn't even taste that good. What I often have done for these bring something to a school or a house, I buy these little almost finger drumsticks, and I put them on a baking cake tray, and I squeeze orange. I put a little soy sauce and a little garlic powder. So I make a sweet and sour drumstick. Now, is it with the skin, is it the most ideal thing? No. But compared to everything else at the buffet, it's 100% better, because I think to be successful over the holiday season requires not trying to make everything on an A level. It's simply trying to move from a D- to a B-, to making the best of the worst choices. So if you had a choice of a fatty meat concoction with vegetables and macaroni and cheese, I would certainly choose the meat. It's always the starches and the double starches and the sweets that you want to minimize or eliminate. Okay, do people feel renewed or ready to manage some of the challenges of the month of Christmas or the tsunami of too many calories on a nonstop basis?
Sure.
What strategies worked that we used last time for Thanksgiving?
One plate.
Yeah, smaller portion.
And yet you had it. You didn't deprive yourself. You put one plate, one time.
Yeah.
You want the stuffing, you want the mashed potato, you want the macaroni. Not my choice, but one plate once, one time won't mess things up. It allows you to have everything and yet have it in such a way that you're on target for your goal. What's your goal? No weight gain. You don't have to target, I'm going to lose 10 pounds this month, because that's totally unrealistic. Now, how do people deal with the other piece of the equation, alcohol? I know no one drinks here, so there are no problems. How many people love sweetened drinks? Or is that less sweetened drinks? Okay, so you make them differently.
Well, I like vodka. Vodka, splash of cranberry sauce, cranberry juice, and some club soda.
Have you tried the low sugar cranberry juice?
Well, when you go out, I don't know if it's.
Oh, you're
low
not
sugar
gonna
or
get it
not.
when you go out.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
usually don't make drinks at home. 'cause
Okay,
I don't
so you really get just a splash.
Just a splash.
Okay, so, okay, that's one way to deal it. What about other sweetened drinks? Sangrias, margaritas, eggnog.
Evan Williams makes a great eggnog.
I went out to dinner last night, I had 2 sangrias. I
Okay,
usually have one, but I was on my time, I had this.
so the holiday, did you have dessert?
We shared a dessert, it was 6 of us, and it was a key lime pie, but it was a key lime mousse, really, more or less, and so 6 of us,
So you had like 3 bites?
probably, yeah.
Okay. So again, the strategy, if you're having something, is to have something less. The other strategy, how many other parties are you having this week?
Well, that's the thing, I'm going on a cruise for Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, I was gonna ask you.
Lots of food.
Here's,
Willpower.
no, organization. What,
Organization.
you could go on that cruise's website. I guarantee you they have a low calorie menu.
Uh-huh.
And they would even have probably no sugar desserts you could have every night. I've spoken to, the thing about a cruise, you have to think about it's a personal chef. You can get whatever you want. So I'll bet they have no sugar cranberry juice. Because cruises have everything. It's a moving hotel.
Right.
And most cruises serve no sugar key lime pie because there are a lot of people on cruises who are diabetic. So a cruise, ironically, can be not that difficult. There'll be more choices on a cruise than in a restaurant.
And if you take the stairs instead of
Yeah,
elevator,
and we usually do take the stairs, yeah. we do.
that helps.
Okay, but I'm talking about the food itself. All right, I guess we're getting to the time. Yeah.
We were talking about the Fitbit. We weren't talking about the
Oh,
time.
okay.
We were saying if you're going to take the stairs, count your steps. My
Fitbit's-
doctor says 10,000 is the goal for me.
Right.
And I'm not there yet, but
What are you doing?
about 6.
Okay,
So
so how I recommend dealing with that is whatever you find your baseline is for steps, 3, 5, 7. Do that for a week and then say, okay, next week, I'm gonna pull it up 1,000 steps. You're not gonna go from 4,000 to 10,000, totally unrealistic. Go up every week or 10 days, 1,000 steps.
I'm writing it down. So I'm step 1.
Right,
So
step 1 is writing it down, because writing it down, and then you also see which weeks am
You
I
get more.
at the 8, 9, and which weeks am I at the 4.
Sure.
And it's usually the more you sit. You know, if you have a memo or something for the person down the hall, give it to them. You know, you can move, walk the steps, walk to someone's office. That pulls the steps up because, again, the goal of not gaining weight this month is managing the food, managing the alcohol, and keeping moving. Because really, we don't even shop anymore at the mall.
True.
We order to save time online. That was a month of walking. Now it's a month of clicking, not aerobic exercise, even if you're fast. So, okay, what do people feel one thing they can do this month to stay in their lane of no weight gain? One thing. Smaller portions. Anything else? Yes, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say something.
Smaller
Yeah.
portions,
No seconds.
no seconds,
more exercise.
more
I need to
exercise.
Yeah.
Will you have some time off this month?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, when you have time off, do you
That's
find it's
easier.
easier to
Oh, sure.
integrate the exercise?
Sure. The problem with when you're talking about Thanksgiving and the holidays and having that one plate is great till the next football game and the next football game, and then you're having the leftovers. That's where my
Okay,
problem
I
comes
have a
in.
question to ask you. My husband's a big sports football player. How did we culturally move to when we watch a football game,
You gotta
we eat
You gotta
as
drink.
if it's as if you're playing.
Right.
We're clicking, we're clapping, we're screaming. Why does that mean another 5,000 calories? I have no clue.
Go to a Super Bowl party, you'll understand
Oh,
what I'm saying.
No, believe me, I've been to many a party. But why is it that we believe this is, how did we get that way?
Marketing.
Marketing?
Yeah, there is advertising, sure.
So Super Bowl, the 2nd of February, is the end of the holiday season,
Yes.
Right.
right? It's the denouement.
Right.
So we have the chips, the queso, the wings, the
It's a great day.
chili, and the 6 beers. Not a big dessert day, more of the
That's
hearty food.
Agreed. Agreed.
Hearty food, because I'm going to go out February 3rd and play football 3 hours in the cold field. All right. I hope everyone has actual things that you can actually do. I think you'll get some good information later on today or tomorrow on the site. And I look forward to seeing everyone in January. If anyone feels ready or willing, send me your logs, send me your comments, send me your questions on the Gmail address, and I'll get back to you within a day. Okay?
Thanks.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
holiday.
Appreciate it.
Do well.
Thank you.
No weight gain is our goal. I refuse to be heavier. I am not going to have a higher percentage of body fat come January 2nd. Okay?
All right.
Sounds like
Do
a
well.
plan.
Take care.
Thank you.